Well, it has been a long time in the making. I've meant to make this video about 5 times over the past year because so many changes have happened, but I'm finally doing a studio tour showing off our setup, our gear, and everything in between. Let's get to it. Let's start with the main event, the camera setup. If we come over here, where the lighting is much worse, we can see the camera setup. Right here we have a Sony a7R III with a Sigma 35mm f1.4. The camera is plugged into our microphone, more on that later, our headphones, and this computer monitor, which is just set up precariously on a stool and a couple of drawers as a monitoring system. The headphones we use to monitor our audio are Audio-Technica M40X's, review in the cards above. Going back to the audio setup I mentioned, we have a VidPro XM55, pretty cheap but actually quite decent microphone, and that is on a suspension arm so that we can move it however we like on our set. That is hooked up to the bar that is suspending our lighting setup. This bar was custom mounted by us. You can see that there are quite a few wires and such running along it. Over here we have, this is just one of 4 cheap, roughly $15 RGB lights that shine accent lights onto the background. One of the cords from this power strip, which is connected to an outlet in the ceiling, is a cord from one of our main lights. This is a fill light that we have in a very large softbox, and both our lights are on suspension arms connected to the wall. A bit more on that later as well. Coming along here, we also see an extension cord running to the other 2 RGB lights, which, by the way, are on small rig ball head clamps that are clamped to the bars. As you can see, this is the second bar, which was again custom mounted. I had to create an apparatus that would allow us to mount it on a level field despite the slant of the ceiling. This is our other light, which is a bit smaller, a bit harder, and you can see a bit better the arm that it is connected to. It moves on a few axes, which I will demonstrate here. Now let's get to the main part of the set which you see in the videos. Here we have some custom-made black iron cherry shelves that Leaf and I worked on for quite a while, and those span pretty much the length of this wall from the light switch, which is next to the door, which by the way has a towel on it for sound dampening, over to the other side of the wall and turns to the corner. These shelves have holes drilled in them, the middle ones at least, and are suspended by bolts that we put through the black iron. The top shelf is on flanges. And of course, we have all sorts of goodies here on the shelves, including an open and messy camera bag. On the top shelf of the shelves, we have another element of our lighting setup. This is a backlight. This is a Yongnuo YN 216, which has a power cord running up to the wall, along the ceiling, and to the power strip. We also have lots of our gear here. We have my old Canon ATD with my Sigma 17-50mm. We have some pots of aloe, as you can see. We have a random speed light, lots of lenses, a Konica film camera, an old Canon Rebel, a very old film Seroflex camera, and some random odd but fun items. A couple of Rubik's Cubes, a ceramic Mexican guy, among other things. Boxes from lots of our camera products, some photography books, some juggling items, as I do juggle, some bins with random junk in them, some camera bags, some sheets/blankets that we occasionally use as backdrops, and the mouse and keyboard to my computer, which we've just stuffed under there for now. Because my computer is right here under the matching desk that we made, Also, the computer the computer is custom built by myself. It has a Ryzen 3700X and an NVIDIA 1060. And as I said, that is under the desk that we built, also out of cherry wood with a black iron leg, though we are cheating and it is actually supported by wall brackets. That meets up with the shelves for a mostly seamless transition and allows us to sit at this cutout curve with a camera here when we are doing editing videos. There's a practical light here in the form of an old house lamp, as well as some hidden in the shelves, as you can see right here. Now this is our equipment wall. This is right next to the desk, and is just some pegboard from Lowe's, about $20. It was painted black. We mounted it to some 2x3s, which are mounted to the studs in the wall, and this holds up all of our light stands, tripods, reflector holders, boom arms, soft boxes, random pipes, brackets, clamps, screwdrivers, hammers, all sorts of odd items, and is actually quite aesthetically pleasing, and also is very functional. Above that we have some shelves, which currently are just some old cheap pine boards, but are going to be replaced by cherry in the near future. Lastly, and this we will have to show you with some B-roll, I have a list of all of the studio upgrades that I want to make. Some of those are picture frames made out of the cherry strips that we have down there along the wall. They've been sitting there for far too long and we need to actually make the picture frames. I want actual cable tracks to manage the cables along the bar there. As I said, I want to replace the shelves above there. I want to get a paper roll suspension system so that we can have gray, white, green, chroma key paper rolls for various videos. I want a monitor mounted to this wall arm that accepts TVs or computer monitors. I want a NAS with gigabit networking, a tongue-and-groove wall panel made out of ash or similar wood along this wall, a neon logo sign, and I want to replace the trim in this room. I know that sounds like a lot, but we've chipped away at quite a few items that were on the list previously, and hopefully not all of those items are very far in the future. So that is our setup. Be sure to comment down below with what you think of the setup, what your setup is like, what you would have done differently with this space. We will be happy to hear from you, and be sure to subscribe and keep watching by clicking on the video right here.